Hello, welcome to the Film Vomit Podcast, an essential vomit series of podcasts. As always, we're your hosts, Mac Taylor and Cole Sell. I wasn't my actual name there for a second. And we are here today to talk about, we're continuing down the Texas Chainsaw Massacre rabbit hole as we arrived at Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface, not to be confused with the 8th film just called Leatherface. I don't know what the fuck it is with horror movies and like they'll pass like 5 years, but they keep naming shit very similar to other movies in the just call it something else.
It's nostalgia debate. Like honestly,
like every like new horror film in a franchise is always like titled the same thing, and it's like, guys, stop.
Yeah, indeed.
Like. I just saw Candyman yesterday, and it's just called Candyman, or Halloween 2018 that's the third movie in the Halloween franchise called Halloween. It's like, guys, son of a bitch. People are afraid to put numbers on shit these days. But Texas Chainsaw
How was Candyman? How was Candyman?
I liked it. I didn't think it was going to be like an actual sequel. I thought it was going to be like a remake. So the fact that it did tie into the original movie was pretty cool.
That's cool.
I've never been a huge Candyman fan to begin with, though. Like, it's never really been one of my favorite franchise. Well, definitely not my favorite franchise, but like even just like the original movie, like I like it, but it's not like my go-to. So
so what you're saying is the board game's better than the movie.
But yeah, like I recommend people go see it. It's pretty fun movie. But I'm probably not like the Candyman guy to like really like hype up this movie,
Okay. Yeah.
So Cole, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. What were your thoughts going in and kind of what happened? Because I know I really downplayed this movie going into it. And I think it was better than I gave it credit for, but it's still not like great.
It's like, I mean, when you're looking back at like, the first movie, like it's not gonna reach that kind of caliber. I still think it's good, to a sense. I was glad to get back to it because I've watched the movies before, and like these first half of Chainsaw Massacre movies is what I'm really liking, like going back to. I think this movie, like the reason why I was so excited to get back to it was just for the characters. Honestly, the characters of this particular specific one, I think, are very well done and
like
memorable.
You talk about the family, right?
Yeah, the family. So it was. I mean, my main man, Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, I know you're a big Rings fan, so I'm sure that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, seeing him is great, and seeing him act, like actually revealing his acting talent is always great to see. Especially since I don't really see that. I've never really watched that many movies with him in it, so it was good to see him.
Yeah, I could agree that I think the family in this movie is pretty well done. I think the actual main characters we're supposed to care about are kind of poorly executed. But so it's kind of funny. Whereas but I mean, I don't think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially up to this point, it's not exactly known for its like very well written protagonist. Like I think Stretch was the strongest written protagonist, and even then she didn't have a whole lot of story.
Not really.
So it's quite interesting to see you could tell like they know that the killers are kind of the stars of these movies, and they are like the best parts of them. So we start out with an opening crawl, which basically says that like I guess Sally's dead now for reasons. And they apprehended someone, but that person may not be the real Leatherface. Really, we didn't need this. We didn't need an opening crawl. Like they're just trying to be like, hey guys, we're still Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know if you knew that, but like we have to have a crawl. And then we start with just like random sporadic cuts of like girls screaming,
Yeah.
and sledgehammers, and then we see
Yeah.
Leatherface making a face
Yeah.
with the opening credits, which is like very late 80s, early 90s horror
Mm-hmm.
editing right there.
Yeah.
And it's also odd that like really there was one of these made in like every decade for a while. Like it was like 70s was the first one, 80s was the
Mm-hmm.
second one. This one's 1990.
Yeah.
I think the fourth one's in like 1996 or 97. And then we get the 2000s and then the 2010s, and you know we'll probably get one here in the 2020s. So it's like I don't know why every decade needs a Texas Chainsaw movie. So yeah, we get the opening montage here with that, and then we meet our main characters, Michelle and Ryan.
Yeah.
Who are I think a couple.
We don't really see. I mean, we don't really see them interact in such a
like,
way.
Really, they could have worked better as like brother and sister.
Mm.
Like in the script, they are a couple, but nothing about their interactions scream any sort of chemistry. And then this actor and actress have no chemistry. So it's very just like, I think they could have played like annoying little brother or like sister kind of deal better than they could have played this romance, quote unquote.
Yeah. Yeah. They I mean, they're kind of stark contrasts, like, you know, like them too.
Yeah. Whereas Michelle,
we really see that. Yeah. We really see that with like, you know, like the armadillo thing.
Yeah.
The whole armadillo thing that happened with them.
Which we can just go ahead and talk about. Basically, they hit an armadillo and Michelle can't bring herself to put it down. So Ryan has to go do the business on it. And that kind of, and she kind of has an arc with this character trait, but I think it could have been done in a better way, which we'll talk about when we get to that scene. But I think they just should have been siblings. I think the writing would have made more sense with how these characters are portrayed. So as they're driving through, for some reason, they're driving like across the country. It never really says why they don't fly. There's even brought up like, why don't you guys just use the airlines? And it's like, that is a great question. Why are you driving through Texas?
Yeah.
And basically this mass like grave has been discovered. So they're digging up all these bodies, which have been like fermented in the ground. Kind of a random throw-in scene just to have a little more gore or viscera in here.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, Ryan's like, man, they need to fry the guy who did this. And she's like, violence is no answer to violence. And I'm like, well, you're really going to change your mind. Let's give it a couple of hours.
You're going to love all this violence. You're going to relish in it, man.
And also in this mass grave scene, we get a cameo by Stretch. We see her walking by. She's a reporter.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, look at that.
Yeah. Which is kind of weird because like, I mean, I thought like the second movie was supposed to be written out of this one's canon, but it's also not. it's so it's a little it's
weird. Gonna get real confusing, especially as we go down some more shit of like who exists in what timeline and what character are they here. There's a lot. It's gonna get very confusing, very muddled. This is just the beginning of it. And Ryan's like super anti-South. He's like, oh, here comes officer. Like, I can't remember what the hell he called him, but like, he's very just like, he's an asshole about everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, this cop isn't in a good mood. He just had to watch people dig up like 40 bodies and then have to guide traffic through. I wouldn't be very happy with my day either.
It's like cut him a break. Like,
I mean, Jesus Christ, man's been up all
Ryan's
night.
a bit of a dick. Yeah.
Ryan's an asshole for sure. So then after the armadillo thing happens, they go to the last chance gas station because again, you got to have a gas station.
Yep.
And they meet Alfredo, and he's kind of the closest to how the original family acts in a way, where he's like taking pictures and being all creepy and weird. And then Tex comes to the rescue.
Yeah.
Who's like, now you just don't mind him. He's just all weird and creepy. You just get out of here now.
Yeah.
Trying to be like Ryan calls him Cowboy. And Tex is like, do you think you guys can give me a ride? So it's like, are we going to get a hitchhiker scene? But we don't. Because Ryan's like, nope, fuck that. And like, can't really blame him here.
Nope.
But then he's like, hey, I know you guys were going to go down this road, but there's this new road. You should go down this way. He's like, but it looks like it's the same distance. You think that, but you just go down this one. Don't ask any questions. Just go down this road that no one's ever talked about before. That's just right next to the other road. You just take that one. And he's like, oh, okay. It's like, what do you mean? No, just go down your normal fucking path, man.
I will do anything you say, Vigo.
Whatever you say, cowboy, I'll go down this random road. Really stupid. And then Michelle's getting peeped on in the bathroom. So a fight ensues, and it looks like Tex is shot. And their windows shot out, and they drive down the other road that Tex told them to go down. He's like, just take the Cowboys road. And I'm like, no, what? Why? Just go your route.
Like if you're already taking this whole driving trip, I'm assuming you would know
the quickest way through.
Like the roads to go to. Like, it's not like you're looking where to go when you get there. It's like,
and also, if you're trying
to the end of this road,
and if you're trying to flee from danger, don't go in a place that you don't even know what the hell where it goes. Like
you obviously don't know where this road. Like, it could be a dead end for all you know. Or you might even it might be such a weird road, since you don't know about it, you might accidentally take a wrong turn and then get on a dead end and then get turned around and then you're boned. Stick to the roads, stick to the main roads.
So then they're run off the road by a big ass truck, and who throws a coyote at them. Which is
odd things to
very
throw,
south.
Yeah.
They're throwing taxidermy. And Ryan's like a mess about it. He's like, man, I'm gonna freak out. I'm about to freak out. And I'm like, yo, like, this was like every person in the 90s. It was like this close to a mental breakdown at any given moment. So while they're trying to change a tire, we see Leatherface is on his way over, and he's got the brace on his leg from where he cut himself in the original movie. So I like that little bit of continuity there.
Yeah.
So he interrupts the tire change and saws the hell out of their car and rips the trunk off somehow. Why is your trunk just able to be ripped off?
Like it's flimsy, man. It's flimsy car. Like they didn't make them like they
very, very, very cheap.
They did.
And then we meet Benny, who's the survivalist, who just so happens to also be going down this road.
Yep.
And Tex jumps out in front of them. Benny and Michelle hit each other. And Benny's like, immediately like, all right, well, I'm just going to give these kids some painkillers because, would have been in an accident. And he tries to help for not knowing the situation, but they're like, people are hunting us. And he's like, what? Like, he has a genuine like reaction of like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
he I think more than ever, like, he is like the one who is the most normal. Like, in a way, like with his reactions to things, like I don't know. I feel like that's him. Like, he just kind of, he's like, why the fuck are you, like, who the fuck are you, like, why are you doing, like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, he's like actually like questioning himself, what the fuck's going on.
Like, he's still helping them, but he's like something's happening, but I gotta figure this out. So he goes and he finds Tink, who is going to tow the vehicles. But then as he goes to get in Tink's truck, he sees a chainsaw in the back, and he's like, well, fuck this. That's not a good guy. And then so he does the smart thing and goes to get a gun. But while he's loading up, Tink drives at him and knocks him into the trees, where he meets Leatherface. And instead of just being like, oh no, I got to get out of here, he just fucking punches him. He's like, nope.
Yeah, he's a survivalist, and that means punching chainsaw wielding
maniacs.
Psychos. Yeah, it's just to get the fuck away.
He beats the hell out of him for a minute.
I mean, it's really like, like a natural response. I would feel like for people, like, it's like, holy shit, like quick whack, especially if you're someone like Benny and like a survivalist.
Yeah, I mean, Ken Foree, the actor that plays him, he's a giant man. Like, if anyone's gonna be able to just like attack Leatherface, it's probably him.
Yeah.
So he starts actually beating him up until Leatherface has like a circular saw that like surgeons use and like hacks his leg real quick. Yeah. It's like, look at Leatherface with the utility belt. But Benny survives because Sarah, one of Leatherface's older victims, gets him to chase her instead. And then when they regroup, she tells the tale of how her family was murdered, because the Sawyer's been picking off hitchhikers off people driving through, travelers, sending them down this other road that everyone just agrees to go down. And so they share a cigarette, and she gives him her lighter, which will come into play later. And then Ryan steps in a bear trap like an idiot and gets chainsawed to death. Well, not to death, but he gets chainsawed. Yeah. And Michelle then runs to the Sawyer house. And again, it's like, woman, don't run into people's houses.
Don't run into people's houses. Jesus.
She finds like the bone room and a little girl crying. But the little girl's in a room of bones with a tea set in it. Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, that's not a place to be.
And she's like,
I don't care. I don't care about any little girl. If you're, I'm leaving.
You were doing just fine for I got here. I'm out of here. Like, you're still alive. Check. Cool. Because she's like, what's your name? And then she pulls up her doll, who's a fucking skeleton, and then shanks Michelle in the leg.
What an ultimate power move from the child. Honestly.
I mean, really, like, survival instincts. Don't run into people's houses. Leave creepy girls in their own rooms.
Yeah. And as soon as you see a doll made out of bones, leave.
Fuck out there.
Just run. Just don't look at it. Don't hold it. Leave.
So yeah, basically then Tex comes in and grabs Michelle and nails her to a chair. And she's like, why are you doing this? She's like, well, if you don't shank you don't bleed. And if you don't bleed, we can't feed Grandpa. And Grandpa is now very obviously deceased.
Yeah.
But they just keep like pouring blood into his mouth. So he's got like all these stains around his mouth that he's been pouring blood into. So no more blood dance for Grandpa.
No more blood dance. That's the worst. That's the worst part about this movie, honestly.
If it would have had that, it would have had everything.
I like how they're still carting around.
Yep. He's been dead for years and they're still feeding him blood. So then we start meeting like the other members. Like we meet the mother who talks with like one of those like Ned Jablansky voice boxes. And they string up Ryan because Tink comes home and Ryan's still breathing somehow, even though he got chainsawed.
Yep.
And Tink's talking to Tex and he doesn't call him Tex. He calls him his name. He's like, I wish you'd just call me Tex. He's like, I'm sorry. That's my bad. Go ahead and string this guy. Like this family is a lot more like functional than the last couple of Sawyer families.
Like it shows that they actually, genuinely like kind of like care about each other.
They do.
In a way.
They do.
Like the other ones, they just kind of seem like, they
sadistic.
Sadistic. Like they wouldn't care if one of them died.
Exactly.
I feel like.
Whereas like these ones, they actually function as a family unit.
Yeah.
Tink's even he's got a gift for Junior Leatherface. He's got him a new chainsaw. And then Alfredo, who's kind of like the lesser of the brothers, is tasked with the disposing of all the body parts, which for a family of cannibals, they sure do waste a lot of meat.
Yeah, you'd think they
You
would.
don't skimp
like,
on the meat.
Yeah, that's the lesson that they should have driven home, but
you can't
nope.
fill a trophy with chili if you skimp on the meat.
Can't.
So Leatherface comes in with like a Walkman that he found.
Yeah.
He's just like having a good time. But because he didn't bring back Benny, Tink's pissed and he takes the Walkman and tosses it in the oven. And Leatherface is pissed.
Yeah.
So he takes Tink and goes to put him in the oven. And the mom's like, no. And then Tech's like, no, wait. Let him finish. Let him duke it out. And Tink goes to put his hook hand to get it. And Leatherface is like, no, you use your real hand. He makes him use his real hand to get it out of the fire.
Yeah, I like how, like, this is another thing. I like how Leatherface is he's not like a child, anymore. Yeah.
He's just
in this one.
He's just a little mentally insufficient, but he's able to like assess situations. It's like he's almost like a preteen.
Yeah,
like, he had a fit here where he got mad because one of his brothers broke his shit.
Yeah, and he actually has like the confidence to actually deal with the other members of his family.
Yeah, and he handles his own business, which it's implied that the little girl is his as well.
Yeah.
Clearly he fucked.
Yeah, I mean, what like one in like in the last movie where he started to get like they were sprinkling in those feelings with him. So.
Now we went all out with this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tink got the Walkman out. Leatherface goes to practice his letters because he has like a little like speak and spell. It has a picture of a clown and he keeps putting food, and he's getting pissed because it won't take that answer. So then they use the sledge machine that Tink built to take out Ryan, which I think this was a missed opportunity here, because I think when Michelle inevitably escaped, she should have been the one to put down Ryan. Like, Ryan's clearly just dying. He's suffering. And so she would take the rock and put him out of his misery. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Instead of going the direction that they did with her, like was that what they did? Yeah, I think that would have been a better like full circle thing for her. Yeah.
Instead of what they ultimately did with Leatherface, I think it would have been better for and again, if it was like her brother and not her boyfriend, that would have been like the ultimate thing of like, because she like at first would try to get him to go with her, but he can't because he's essentially just dying. So then she just puts him down.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity there with that. But Ryan's dead. And then we get a whole bunch of screaming and chainsaw stuff. Although Leatherface isn't using it like a dick this time. He's using it like an actual chainsaw.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about privates for some reason. But then Benny shows up, hears all the screaming and shit, and was like, fuck this, man. And just starts shooting all directions.
Yeah.
Which is honestly a reasonable reaction to stumbling across this.
Yeah.
So the mom is killed. Grandpa's face is caved in.
Yeah.
And Tink's ear is shot off.
Yeah.
So Tink's had a very bad night.
Yeah, he's not a good time. Not a good time for Tink.
And Leatherface did get his new chainsaw. I didn't say that, but he has a new chainsaw with chrome. It says the saw is family, which was a quote from the second movie.
Yeah, I think it's a little cheesy.
A little much, but it's a memorable thing.
Yeah, it is.
And that chainsaw weighed 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Because chrome is heavy. Mom's dead. Tink can't hear shit. Michelle escapes by ripping her hands off the nails.
Yeah,
and Shanks visceral. Texts. Yeah, it's very visceral. And then he's like, "Go get the meat. Go get the." I can only hear the cook's voice when they're talking about meat.
Yeah.
Go get that meat. If Jim Seedow hadn't have died, he'd have been in this one too, and it would have been fantastic. So Tex heads off after her.
Yeah.
And Junior can drive, which again is another thing. Like Leatherface can operate a vehicle.
Yeah.
But he keeps like not finishing Benny off. Like he gets under the truck and then he just leaves him there to chase off after Michelle in the woods.
Yeah.
I'm like, Benny is your threat, Leatherface. You need to kill him.
He really is.
Yeah.
He's the biggest threat that these people have.
So he chases Michelle with the new saw. And I will say also, this movie, it's outside scenes. They were not prepared to shoot outside because it's very dark. It's very hard to tell what's going on in some of these scenes. Like when they're inside or during the day, it's fine. Like it's shot fine. But at night, they just did not have enough lighting to really show what was going on. So Benny and Tex have a showdown. And he's like, why don't you guys just eat pizza? And he's like, I like liver and onions, which I think was a bit much. It's a bit cheesy. But he uses Sarah's lighter to burn Tex alive and blow up the truck.
Yeah.
And then Michelle gets caught in a trap that just like drags her to the lake for some reason. I don't know why that was a trap. Like what happens after you drag them to the lake? It's a little weird. Like their bear traps make sense, you know. Like you'd think it would string her up, like you know, that trap, but no, it like drags her to the lake. I don't understand.
Like in order to drag, like that's gotta. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know how to explain that one. That's a rough. That'd be a really hard thing to make. It'd be really inconvenient to set up.
To have that long ass line extend all the way from the woods to the lake.
Like they're just
they're like, listen, we need this finale in the lake. And I don't know how to get her to we can't just have her run to the lake. We have to have her drug to the lake.
We can have her run to the house. We can't have her run to the lake. She could have just ended up at the lake through running through the woods because people get lost in the woods.
Because then Leatherface runs there and then Benny knocks him in there. And then the saw is just kind of like going, which you'd think as soon as it hit the water, it would just die.
Like, it's like well, especially for a chainsaw, like most of its stuff is pretty like exposed.
Yeah,
like water can really like severely damage that. Like
it wouldn't just start shooting out
I can't
water
say for certain
and floating going like a boat.
Yeah. It doesn't like
it's not. It looks like Jaws. Like it's just kind of just going across there.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's not how chainsaws work.
No, that's not.
No. Chainsaw boat.
Chainsaw boat. So Junior and Benny are fighting. Junior seems to kill Benny, and then Michelle bashes him with the rock, killing him.
Yeah, this is the full circle we got.
Yeah. Her. And then she's like walking through, and then the last chance gas truck pulls up, and it's Benny somehow still alive after like 7 near-death experiences. And then he's sledged by Alfredo, who is then shot by Michelle. And then Benny's still alive.
Yeah.
And then we
can all thank New Line. We can all thank New Line for that. Travesty.
Yeah, because originally he was supposed to die in the lake.
Yeah.
But they're like, test audiences like his character, so we'll just bring him back in the end.
Yeah. I mean, like, fuck you, New Line Cinema. Just a little bit. Fuck you a little bit.
Some other fun facts: the director was fired but rehired because nobody wanted the job.
He was rehired like over the weekend.
Yeah, because they're like, fuck, no one else wants to direct this damn movie. Which I get. Not a lot of directors want Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Like New Line Cinema, they just kind of for one, they needed to get rid of a lot of the gore to get
this
X
script
ratings.
Got cut to shit.
Yeah, like so it could get away from X ratings, and then he was like, okay, I'll cut down the gore, and then they're like, actually, we're gonna fire you because you're not going fast enough, and then they rehired him, say, hey, you're gonna have to cut down on the gore, and he said, I already said I would. I'll do it again anyway.
Like they even had a
and
unmasking scene for Leatherface where they were going to show his like disfigured face, but then that got scrapped. But there's a lot of scenes in the movie that set up for it with him like looking in the mirror and stuff.
Yeah.
And
like and then the whole
doesn't make any sense in
the entire and then the entire ending, like New Line Cinema fucked it. Like with the drive off scene with Benny, like they filmed that behind the director's back, and he only found out they did that once he went and saw it in cinema.
Yeah, can you imagine watching your movie only to be surprised by a scene in your movie?
Yeah, and then because New Line, reshot the ending, they missed their release date.
Yeah,
which
is the whole thing they were getting on to the director in the first place.
Yeah, the whole reason why they wanted so many cuts and everything. Yeah, for the X rating, and yes, they wanted to make their super their release date, which they gave them no time to make the movie.
Yeah,
anyway,
they had a teaser trailer out before the film was shot.
Yeah,
like you really put the pressure on yourself there.
This
whole production was shit.
Yeah. It really was.
And they also filmed this next to a Six Flags. So they'd say during the filming you could hear screaming from the roller coasters at Six Flags.
Yeah, I heard you could hear that from like old VHS tapes of the fucking movie.
Yeah, before they put it on Blu-ray, remastered it.
Yeah. Which it took them a long time to make that Blu-ray.
Yeah, because no one gives a fuck about this movie.
Yeah. If
you're going to put a Blu-ray release for any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, like it's you're gonna go for the first and the second, and then the remakes are around Blu-ray era. But it's like no one gives a fuck about the third or the fourth movie enough to make it a Blu-ray. It's an familiar faces. We talked about Viggo Mortensen being in Lord of the Rings. That's
which another
famous for.
Yeah, another little fun fact about that: Peter Jackson he
was offered to direct it. So he was offered.
Yeah, which it would have been funny to have a Viggo
and Peter Jackson way before Rings.
That would have been a funny coincidence.
Leatherface was played by R.A. Mihailoff, who was in Hatchet 2, which is one of my favorite slasher franchises. Tink was played by Joe Unger from Roadhouse and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Roadhouse.
And Benny was played by Ken Foree from, pretty much any Rob Zombie movie, but The Devil's Rejects, where he has the most prevalent role there. Dawn of the Dead, the original, and he was the dad in Kenan and Kel. So yeah, big career for Ken Foree. So Cole, final thoughts and opinions on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 on Leatherface.
Well, it's watch the newest version out if you want to actually watch this movie. The Blu-ray 2018 Blu-ray, that is the best version of this movie you'll get. That's still what
did you watch it on?
I watched the original 1990 version of Leatherface.
I watched what was on HBO Max.
Yeah, I watched 1990 just because that's the one I watched already. Yep. So I just want to have that same feel because I already know about the all the other crap to do. I think the movie's fine-ish. The characterization of villains are
you said,
part of this movie.
Tex, Tink. I really like this iteration of Leatherface. I think it's an underrated iteration of Leatherface when compared to some of the others. The family itself, it was all like functional and an interesting dynamic. It's just Michelle was shit, and Ryan was more shit, and Benny was invincible.
Yeah, he was.
And there's not a real body count in this movie. Besides that, it's very slow at points.
It is.
The night scenes are really hard to see. But is it the worst movie we've covered on this podcast? Not by a long shot.
Oh God, no. God.
But is it the best Texas Chainsaw movie? No. Of the three we've covered, this is the weakest. But next week, we're going to get into an even worse one when we cover Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, The Next Generation, the movie that Matthew McConaughey's lawyers never wanted to get released.
I've been kind of dreading it a little bit. To be honest with you,
it's the worst, so it's going to be like the hardest one to get over, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, I think after this we start to get into more like modern horror.
Yeah, because
like
after
stuff.
4 we have the remake from 2003. We have the prequel to the remake from 2005 or 4, one of those years. Then we have Texas Chainsaw, which was 2013, and then Leatherface, which is 2018, I believe.
Yeah.
So this will be the last like pre-2000s horror when we do 4. So until next time, stay safe, stay nerdy.